Chris Burke, I'm an illustrator, cartoonist, caricaturist. I live in Tunbridge Wells. I grew up in South East London and went to school, and I wanted to go to art college. My headmaster was very against it. He wanted me to go to university to read English, but I pointed out I could already read English, so I didn't do that. And so I went to St Martin's, then I went to Canterbury, and then I didn't have any art people in my family, so I just had to get a job basically. So I worked in advertising as an art director for about 5 years, and I'd watch photographers and artists come in and out and think, oh, that looks like a nice life, I think I'll do that. And so I saved up for a year and gave up my job and then became an illustrator. And then I starved for a year because I couldn't get any work. And then I went to Ireland, where my father's family from. And I used to draw in the pubs late at night because we'd stay in the pubs till about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't sing, so I drew. And I came back, I did all these drawings, and I ended up being commissioned by the Radio Times for St Patrick's Day. That was my first job, and then I worked every week for the Radio Times for the next 5 years. And that sort of, that established my career really. And then after that, I worked for the Sunday Times, and I've worked for the Financial Times for about 25 years. What brought me to Tunbridge Wells? Well, I lived in South London, and I tried to buy a house in Kennington. This is in the 80s, and it was already getting yuppified and too expensive, so I ended up buying a house in Rye, and then the October hurricane came along and the back of the hill fell on the house, so I then spent most of my time driving back from Rye to Kennington, and halfway between Rye and Kennington on the A21 is Tunbridge Wells. And my then girlfriend, her twin sister lived here, so we used to stop and we liked it. And so when I finally sorted out the other fallen down house, we bought somewhere here. And it's a quick train ride into London, and it's nice because it's a proper town, it's not the suburbs, and it's got a nice vibe to it, and it's got more metropolitan in the time I've lived here. So that's how's the art world in Tunbridge Wells developed. Well, I must admit, until about 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was really in my own little metropolitan bubble. Because I was working for newspapers and magazines, the deadly deadlines and the tight briefs, difficult to sit down with a tight brief. I was so busy doing that, I didn't really know anything about the art world in Tunbridge Wells. So I was merely bringing up the kids, having family life, and then 10 hours a day drawing, and then sending the stuff off at first by courier and bike and that sort of thing. Sometimes sticking it in the post. We are going back a few years here, because I say I've been here almost 30 years. And then emailing everything. So you just really nose to the grindstone, or most of the time, or nose to the white sheet of paper. But what happened in the last 10 years is that the internet has gone mad, and it's been a blessing and a curse for artists, in that the curse is that the newspaper world, Fleet Street, even though it's become virtual, it's practically gone now. So all these little magazines, of these building magazines or computer magazines, ironically, that we worked for, they've all gone, because it's all online. And so we are sort of like these exotic animals in the canopy of the rainforest, and the rainforest has been hacked down, so we've got to find somewhere else to perch, really. So I then started looking at places where I could do art, do portraits and sell those, and just do commissions that weren't for editorial purposes, just to broaden out and do drawing at events and weddings, social events, that sort of thing. And then gradually I got to know a group of artists, mainly the wonderful Elaine Gill, who is my wing person in this adventure. So Elaine basically, she can say all this herself, but I'll say it anyway. She set up she co-founded the Tunbridge Wells Artist Group, was kind enough to email me and get me to join, and so now I know a big group. I think there's almost about 100 different artists in there, but there's a core group that run the gallery, but we all dip in and out. So I know there's a lot of other artists who have been, I've done little side exhibitions with them or different events, and that's been really interesting. So that's been a new thing for me, learning that side of the world, where you do the work and then you try and sell it, because I've always done the other way around. People have come to me with a commission, I do it, and it's gone. So you're never too old to learn new tricks. So that's my involvement with the local Tunbridge Art Worlds group. The thing I love about Tunbridge Wells is it's big enough to be anonymous. It's not like living in a small village, or certainly like Achill Island, where my father came from, where all my cousins left, because everybody knows your business. But it's not big and faceless like a massive city where you don't know anybody. So I think it's great that you can get out. I can cycle up the road, and it always takes me longer because I bump into 3 people I know, and there'll be, if they're people in related fields, that's great. If I've got friends who are architects, or friends who are designers, or whatever. But also the ones who are in different worlds as well. That's nice as well, because it takes you out to yourself. So I think Tunbridge Wells is a brilliant place from that point of view, that it's like a little part of London, really. It's just a bit further than if it was on the tube. Basically, I'm doing small drawings and then larger drawings, and then 3 large boards about 2.2 meters long, and then they will be photographed, and then they will be turned into vinyl. Each section of the vinyl is going to be 8 foot wide. This represents one 8-foot section, and there will be 16 of those, which is approximately 21 meters. So yes, that's me, and that's the project.
I don't ride. She's covered with a tarp, and I keep her inside. I bought her brand new back in 1965. But she ain't for sale. She's still my pride. Every once in a while, I roll her out. She's such a pretty bike, it makes me wanna shout. A pretty motorcycle, part of what it's all about.
Okay, my name is Nikki Blanchard and I am Centre Manager of Royal Victoria Place in Tunbridge Wells, and I am also the chair of the organisation Royal Tunbridge Wells Together. Royal Tunbridge Wells Together is an organisation which is basically to help the vitality and the vibrancy of Tunbridge Wells, and it's to put on events, it's to work with the businesses, and we are there to support the town and to make the town the best it can possibly be. We set up the company. I set it up with Tunbridge Wells Borough Council and also another gentleman called Steve Gurney of Index Magazine. About 2 years ago now we started talking about it. A year and a half ago we actually set up the company, and at that point we brought a load of sponsors on board, other big businesses in the town, and since then we've been working to bring other businesses in the town on board, and you know, we're doing events, we're supporting activities. We are just trying to make Tunbridge Wells the best place it can possibly be. As Tunbridge Wells Together, we were asked to be involved in this as a supporter and also as a judge, and I think it's incredibly important because it's, you know, I travel to and from Tunbridge Wells Station all the time. I often stand on the platform waiting for a train, and you know, it's great to see some art in the town, some original, exciting art in the town. So I think it's great for the town, and it will be there, have a lot of longevity as well, which is really exciting.
What is it like, kind of being a manager of the Royal Victoria Place, like? Because obviously it's a large, it's a central hub of the town.
It's challenging at times, but I think what's important is that we're a community shopping centre, so we try and work with the community as much as possible. We've done a lot of work with artists in recent years. You may be aware that we've got a number of blank walls that we call, which are part of what we call the White Wall campaign, and we offer white wall space to local artists to display their artwork and hopefully get a bit more known. We also offer in an area of the centre a unit to a company called Creatives, and again they use it as an exhibition space to display their works. So we, you know, we work with the community. We do a huge amount of charitable activities, and we try and, you know, we are a community shopping centre and we want to be involved with the community, and I hope that's what people see from us as well.
So far we've done all the drawings and they've now been transferred onto the board, and it's pretty much inked up now, but the first lot of inking up, when I rub out the pencil, a lot of the ink's coming off because the board isn't porous as paper would be, so it's all going to have to be lined twice, so obviously that's going to be about another week of lining it. But I might do that, some of it, after I've actually coloured in a little bit. But so far, it's I would say 5/6 of the way there from the line point of view. I may add and change things as I go along, but that's half the fun. So we've got the Iron Age and the Romans, got the Iron Goblet and the water from the Chalybeate Spring, and then Lord North discovering the Chalybeate Spring, the start of the spa becoming fashionable because of Henrietta Maria, the wife of Charles I, mother of Charles II. They camped on the common, and then Queen Anne came along. Queen Anne, obviously, Charles II's niece, and then she had loads of kids, but sadly none of them reached adulthood, and a couple of them fell over on the Pantiles. And because of that, they fell over on the walk. It was called the walk, and then so she built the Pantiles. Then we have Bonash. He became the master of ceremonies in Tunbridge Wells, but also in Bath. He divided his time. And then the flagstones were replaced 1792. I haven't put the 1792 in yet, but I'm working out a place for that. There's going to be some buildings here, some Victorian buildings that Elaine's going to draw in, and then there's young Queen Victoria, and then we go on to the coming of the railways in 1845. They're sort of Kent being the Garden of England, that's covered there, the Opera House, and then we get up to 1909, 20th century, when Edward VII made it Royal Tunbridge Wells, and then we've got the BBC, Radio Kent, coming into the 20th century and late 20th century, and now we're just waiting for people's suggestions for the end. And we've got another week on Facebook and things like that for suggestions. And we'll just see whatever people like to put in, and we'll obviously have the editorial say on it, but be interesting to see what people suggest.
Have you thought of anything you want to definitely put in yet?
Well, there's a guy who invented Subutio, which I think would be really nice, and also I'd quite like, because we're beginning with the rocks at the beginning, the iron rocks, be nice to end it with rocks again, just so it's sort of top and tails. That's the sort of story behind Tunbridge Wells, is the iron in the rocks and the iron in the water. So I think we'll end sort of as we begin, a bit like Finnegan's Wake, goes round in one. And so that's an idea for the end, having some rocks again. So maybe it's people sitting on the common, but it's definitely something that makes it very contemporary, but not something that will date too much. I mean, date in fashion, that's fine, but it will still mean something, so we don't want quite anything too obscure.
You're going to give yourself a cameo appearance in the picture?
I might put myself next to the rocks.
I think it would be quite nice.
And then this is the rough idea. Sorry, I'm ruining your camera shot there. But basically, I'll be much smaller scale, which I think actually quite works very well, because obviously I don't want to be big like the others. But if it's a little figure here painting on a canvas next to the rocks, you get the idea of the rural nature of Tunbridge Wells as well, because we cover a lot of the town aspect. So I'll probably do myself here at the end quite small, just drawing the whole scene. I think there's Norman Rockwell, if you heard of Norman Rockwell, an American illustrator in the 20s, he did Saturday Evening Post. He often put himself into his pictures, and so it's a bit like Hitchcock. The last time Sam filmed us, we were down in Ely Court, in the cold, dark bowels, and now we're in the luxury of the first floor of the RVP, in this really lovely space that Nikki and everyone's given us.
Nice and warm?
Nice and warm, fantastically well lit, and loads of space to lay out the sketches and the actual boards to work on, so that's fantastic.
And also to be seen by the passers-by to enhance what we're doing with the community.
Could you tell us about next Saturday?
I can. So next Saturday we have a kind of official unravelling, I'd say, of the mural so far.
It'll be a sort of sorry to interrupt, we'll be sort of halfway.
Yeah, the halfway point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So drawing will be done, maybe a little bit of painting will be done. We have the mayor coming down with his other half. I know there's a name to her.
Jill.
Jill, that's right.
David and Jill.
They'll be coming down to have a look. We've invited the other sponsors, Southeastern, Tunbridge Wells Together, Refresh, and the Tunbridge Wells Forum. So we'll get together, celebrate what we're doing, celebrate the different charities that are part of the whole Platform 2 project, and open the doors for the public to come in and share their ideas and see what's going on. Meet
and a few of the art group who have helped us behind the scenes.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Like Lucy, Sam's mom, and Anne, and also Rachel, who helped me.
So my name's Steve Lewis. I'm an area manager for South Eastern Railway and responsible for Tunbridge Wells Station.
So what's your involvement with the Platform 2 project?
So South Eastern are leading the project to replace the mural that sadly has been taken down, the original mural that is that Brian Barnes produced back in the 80s. So my involvement is to lead the project from appointing an artist through to arranging the installation and the unveiling of that.
How long have you been with Southern Eastern? Have you done any similar projects?
So this is the first project of its kind for me. I've only been with South Eastern Railway for 4 months, but been in the rail industry for a while longer than that.
Where else have you worked?
Previously I've worked at Paddington, I've worked at Euston and Birmingham and Waterloo and places out towards Reading and Didcot and Oxford.
So what do you think this project will do for like the platform and the town in general?
Well, I think it's important that we replace the mural. It was an important part of the station and very popular with our passengers. So it's great that we've got the opportunity now to replace it with something refreshed, and it will certainly brighten up the platform underneath this bridge where we're standing now. And as you can see behind me, the wall that was left behind when the old mural came down isn't exactly aesthetically pleasing. So it will be nice to have a new and interesting mural put up into place.
One mural was painted by Brian Barnes due to the damage behind it and the fact that it was dangerously about to fall off. So it gave us a good opportunity to be able to talk to some local artists, and luckily we managed to get Chris on board to agree to paint a new mural for us, which we're hoping to have finished and installed at the station towards the end of March. So thanks very much for coming, thanks for your interest, and I won't keep you any longer. I'll hand over to Hello.
And I'm so pleased that Chris, a local resident, and part of my ward, and I'm his councillor, I've never got the commission. Now, with such a long and varied history, I'm surprised actually, and I did wonder, it did say 19, but with such a history of Tunbridge Wells, I'm surprised it'll all fit onto 18 panels. And obviously, I'm sure this was planned, that today it's the 18th of February, and we're looking at 18 panels, so I'm sure someone has arranged that date. And also, I'm quite surprised, and it's good, that members of the public, they will be the panel, if you like, for the final panel. So it's very good to involve members of the public. And it's wonderful that the history of Tunbridge Wells will be displayed in this way. Now, as the artwork is for the railway station, and as you mentioned with the completion date for March, I just hope things stay on track. And obviously the work will certainly flag up Tunbridge Wells, and it'll be a signal, I hope, for its continued success. In fact, one could view this artwork as a sort of a platform from which to explore all the area has to offer. And I know the panel is 1900 to the present day, so I know the public are going to have some of their ideas, but I'll just offer a couple of quirky ideas and then I'll shut up. So, Buffalo Bill and his travelling circus came to the Old West Station in 1903. Oasis played at the Forum in March 1994 in support of their upcoming debut, Definitely Maybe. And they were paid £75. Here's one. No one will get this one. I'm so pleased I managed to find it. David Bowie's parents, Margaret and John, met on a date at the former Ritz Cinema. There you are. Slightly off the wall one. Sex Pistols bassist Sid Vicious used to live at 43 Lime Hill Road, and he went to the former Sandown Port School. And obviously the one everybody will know, and I hope this one will feature somewhere, is Diana, Princess of Wales opened this in 1992, and I was actually a councillor there. So there's some weird ideas for you. Thank you for listening, and back to Chris, I guess, or back to Steve. Thank you.
And so this kind of project is absolutely perfect for Refresh, and I'm delighted that this is the first project that Refresh has been involved with. I won't hold you up very long because Chris is going to reveal more about his drawings, which are there along the wall. But I'd like to say that Tunbridge Wells is not a place well known for getting things done quickly. In Tunbridge Wells, things always take time. I remember when I started off, an organisation came Water in the Wells, which aims to build on the Spa-Town heritage of Tunbridge Wells. We install water features at key places in and around the town, working with developers and the council. David Dukes, who was then leader of the council, came up to me after a discussion. Michael, there was just one thing I wanted to add. Don't hold your breath. This project looks like beating that record of Tunbridge Wells because we have a very tight timescale. It has to all be in place by the 31st of March. I was afraid that it wouldn't be possible to do that by that time, but I've been proved wrong. I was chair of a selection panel on which there was a representative from the town forum. Linda was there. Brian Senior, where's Brian? Representative of the local artist community. Royal Tunbridge Wells together, as well as Steve from South Eastern. So you can see from that list of people, this is very much a community project with different groups of people being involved. The main funding has come from South Eastern.
And so what we've got is the iron motif is going through the horse's hooves, you know, the horseshoes, and this will be iron, and the tanker will be made out of iron. And then once Rod got back to London, Henrietta Maria, who was the wife of Charles I, gave birth to Charles II here. I'm not sure whether she actually gave birth to him here or she came to recuperate. It's not quite clear.
She came beforehand.
Oh, she came beforehand.
That's
but
right.
They also say she came after as well.
Oh, she came after as well. When Charles wasn't around a lot, and she then became pregnant 9 months after being in Tunbridge Wells, and Tunbridge Wells got quite a reputation for being a place with something in the water that obviously had an effect.
Yes, and that's what we haven't put that on yet. But they actually camped on the common. So that's how it looks now. And then Queen Victoria, when she was little, she came here, and she said it had a special place in her heart, and apparently that's why they've called it Royal Victoria Place, not Royal Victoria Mall or Royal Victoria Doodle, because they wanted to keep the word place. There was a place in her heart, so I've given a little heart thing here. And then we have the coming of the railways, and in 1845. And then the opening of the Opera House, and then because of the coming of the railways, obviously the Garden of Kent opens up, and everything gets taken back to London, and Tunbridge Wells gets even richer. Some. And then in 1909, you know more about this, Michael, don't you? Would you like to talk about this?
Well, in 1909, the traders of Tunbridge Wells were very keen to advertise Tunbridge Wells and get more people coming. And they petitioned the government to change the name of Tunbridge Wells. There was one name they suggested, which Royal Kentish Spa, and that was decided not to be acceptable. And in the end, Edward VII agreed that a royal prefix should be attached to the name, and the town would become called the Royal Tunbridge Wells. And at some time, Tunbridge Wells had a hyphen between it, but the was eventually dropped.
That takes us up to today, really. So we've got the BBC Radio Kent and BBC South East. That's a given. So after that, it's open Elaine, would you like to say something?
It's open to the public. We had a really good response. Everybody's very positive. Can't wait to see what's going up. There were a lot of comments about they'd like it light. They'd like it something that you can kind of come into, go back, learn something, come away from, and very excited and also very pleased that South Eastern and Tunbridge Wells together and Forum and Fresh thought about Brian Barnes and his mural, so he will be placing a piece up as well.
My name's Chris Gale, company Storm Studios. We've been going since 1989. I do commercial and advertising photography for various people and for various subject matters. So today I've got to photograph knives. I've also got to go and check on the repro of the item we've just done, which is this large poster for the Tunbridge Wells station. The difficulty of photographing this was trying to get everything even from left to right, because that's 2.4 meters high by 0.75 wide. So we had to try and get this even, lighting even all the way across, so because when it goes on to the next panel they all match up, which was quite difficult. Plus the fact we had to try and get rid of all, there's loads of little marks on there, because I used a camera with a 100 megapixel chip, which is producing files of about 300 meg. So that's 1 in 900 megs for the whole image. So the colour wasn't a problem. The biggest problem was trying to get everything even all over. Plus the fact is that even though it looks clean to you, or it looks nice and white to you, when you go into Photoshop you notice that the camera is picking up stuff that we can't even see. So where they've painted over bits, I could actually see behind the paint to the bit behind. I haven't done a lot of artwork photography, but the basics of it, the principles are the same. It's just trying to get the thing even. The most difficult thing is doing oil paintings. When I photograph oil paintings, it's difficult because you have to watch out for the flare from the texture of the ink. I don't really have any best jobs because my work is totally varied, so I can do stuff from working for DeWalt or for British Gas or other kind of people of that nature. And every job is different, so you can be working with models, or you can be working, I photograph food, so I do a lot of food photography. So it's nice having a varied palette, if you like, of work, so you're not pigeonholed into anything. I do a lot of chrome as well, which is quite difficult because of the reflections.
Healy from Green Hippo Print, and we're printers. I've only ever worked for two printers, Heavenswood Press and Green Hippo Print, and I've been in the industry for 15 years plus now, 16 years. Well, basically we took the digital file, printed out the vinyl, and then laminated it with anti-graffiti laminate, and then applied it to the hoarding. The company is 3.5 years old. Was previously called a different company. Adam Jones and myself purchased the company 3.5 years ago with all the equipment, and have set up operating out of this unit now in Tunbridge Wells. It's a real tough industry. It's in decline. Printers, litho printers, have been going to the wall one by one over the last 15 years. We're one of the few surviving, so must be doing something right. But we've had to diversify into digital print, so we're not just litho, we're digital and also large format. And the process that we used for Platform 2 was digital, printed from wide machines, which are 1.5 wide. It's certainly been tough. There's still demand for printing, whether it's tangible brochures and what have you, but with the digital age of PDF, computer, online printers, it's getting tougher and tougher as a commercial printer. But what we're sort of diversifying into is the POS side of things, such as flags, signage, hoarding, so those sort of things. There'll always be a need for that. Exhibition graphics, pop-up systems, pull-up systems, so that's where we sort of see the future for Green Hippo Print.
I'm pleased to say that wiser counsels prevailed, and we opted to make this a truly community project, and the commissioning, design, creative energy that saw this mural come to fruition is all due to you, the people of Tunbridge Wells. There are many people to thank, and I apologise in advance if I've missed anybody out. First, there's obviously Chris Burke, the artist. I personally don't profess to know much about art, but Chris, depiction of the town's history from the Iron Age to the present, is both an artistic achievement in its own right and a visual aid to this wonderful town's past. As a local resident, there was no better person to do the job. Then there is Brian Barnes, who produced a smaller piece to act as a reminder of his original work. Thank you, Brian, and apologies once again for perhaps not looking after your work as well as we should. Art is sometimes thought of as a bit elitist and divorced from the local community, so thanks must go to another artist, Elaine Gill, for her tireless work in engaging the local people to see what they wanted from the mural. Elaine surveyed passengers at the station, ran events with a local school, arranged a publicity event in the town centre, and secured an empty retail unit so the public could drop by and discuss the work with Chris in real time while he was actually painting.
Now, how fantastic, in full size and glorious colour. From day one, I believe it was full steam ahead. And I'm sure the result is electrifying. And I also think that we can see what's been produced is just the ticket. And definitely first class. But I did wonder, sorry to embarrass Chris here, I did wonder if Chris had considered a career move. Something like a train company director, because he's obviously kept this project completely to timetable. Now, it was going to be my great pleasure to do the ribbon, but as you don't you don't really need a ribbon because I think this is probably a cut above the rest. So I shall now declare the mural formally open.
Thank you all for coming. I looked at my diary this morning and it's 57 days since Steve rang me up at 8 o'clock in the morning to say, oh, you're good. Oh, you know, and that was it. So I think that's quite amazing. It's been such a group project, a community thing, everyone involved, from the panel, Michael and everyone, Brian, everyone on the panel. You have to forgive me if I leave anybody out. But it's been a brilliant community thing all the way through. Michael's been telling us what to do in a very nice way, guiding us, I should say. Who else do I thank? I have to thank the 3 L's. That's Louise, Lucy and Elaine. They worked all terrible hours. I mean, it's like a Korean sweatshop, really, wasn't it? I drove them mercilessly, and I only gave them herbal tea, green tea. So thank them. I'd like to thank Brian and Anna Marie, who did the other panel. That's absolutely fantastic. Andy and Adam, who are from Green Hippo. Because the brilliant thing is everyone's local, right down to the, the vinyl, the photographer, Chris. I don't know if Chris is here. Chris Gale. He actually photographed thing on this amazing camera, digital camera, that went straight into the computer. Massive thing. So, what else? Yes, but Elaine Morse, because she's really been my right-hand person and couldn't have done it without her. And Steve has been the calm voice all the way through. And he gets it done. So I was very impressed with the Bob Marley. So I'd just like to end with Paul Simon. The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls.
We started out drinking that Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday afternoon down at the local bar or maybe at the Silver Dollar Saloon, slamming down that Jim Beam, Wild Turkey, Jose Cuervo, chasing it with ice cold beer. Then we found ourselves in my truck in the parking lot, but where we were was kind of unclear. I'll never forget good old what's her name, the time we spent at wherever it was. She was the blonde, red-haired brunette of my dreams. Her eyes were blue or brown or green. She had the longest legs and the prettiest smile, the cutest face, or was it just those thighs? I wonder who could she be, and does she still remember me? Told her that I loved her and wanted her and needed her and that I'd never leave her. She told me that she loved me